not only are we all volunteer run and supported, we are also supported by our amazing sponsors and partners. First of all, on a global level, Adobe has come back on board as a global partner, which is incredible. I use Adobe products every day, and they have been a leader globally in the digital creative field and beyond. So we are happy to have them. Round of applause for Adobe being back. Next, our gorgeous venue today. Creative Mornings was, our chapter has been around for almost 10 years, and we put on multiple events at the Speed. We are so excited to be back, and not only in this amazing, beautiful space, surrounded by art, and a lovely team who, has really worked with us to put all this on. So I want to invite up Rafaela from the Speed for a few announcements for you all.
What a pleasure to start or continue this beautiful, beautiful Friday morning with you. And yes, we need a lot of new threads in this new world that we are embarking upon. So thanks to Creative Morning and this incredible team that has worked closely with us. I'm so thrilled to have Creative Mornings back at the Speed. And of course, also big thanks to my amazing colleague, LaNia Gibson, for being our colleague, catalyst, and facilitator, and for making all of this happen here on our end. So, yes, creativity, creative thinking. Our brains as humans are amazing pattern making machines. And our brains have to make patterns because otherwise we wouldn't get through the day. If we didn't have all of these habits of thinking, we couldn't function because everything we would have to relearn every moment. So creative thinking is critical because creative thinking is all about breaking out of these mental boxes, out of the mental patterns that we find ourselves in. You can call them status quo, you can call them habitual, but in this day and age, creative thinking, creativity, tapping into our own imagination, so that we can together imagine a better future is so critical. So Creative Mornings are just, what feeds the soul, what will feed a better tomorrow. And I'm so thrilled that LaNia is here today talking to all of us, LaNia the artist, because it is kind of a welcoming back to the Speed. LaNia worked here at the Speed a while back, and now she's here to talk to us as an artist and a creative and somebody who is taking the world to a better place. We also have a special little treat for all of you after the talk. Tyler Blackwell, our curator of contemporary art, is giving a tour of an amazing exhibition we just opened a few weeks ago. This Katia Saint-Hilaire, a powerful artist with family lineage in Haiti, who spent her entire upbringing in South Florida. And she is pulling us into new narratives, into thinking about history in a different way, revising history, and kind of guiding the way forward in a powerful artistic way. So hopefully you can join us. The galleries will be open. The whole museum is yours. So thank you again for being here, and let's kick it off with LaNia the artist.
Awesome, thanks again to the Speed for having us. In addition to the Speed, we also have, there we go, Marigold Catering provided our delicious breakfast this morning, so thank you to Marigold. They also have a new cafe in the Speed right around the corner here, so check that out if you'd like afterwards. We also have our coffee sponsor, so you guys are here at 8:30, which is very impressive, and we need to be caffeinated. So we very much appreciate Synagogue for being our coffee sponsor here. We also have Queer Kentucky this year as our fiscal sponsor. They have a new issue of their print magazine out this week, so check them out. And then finally, last but not least, of course, we have Maybe It's Fate. Maybe It's Fate is our beautifully aligned presenting sponsor for this year. They've really made all of these events possible. Charlie and Rebecca have been incredible partners in getting Creative Mornings back up off the ground. So I know Rebecca has a few little things to say for you, and then we'll get started.
Thank you, Hannah. Thanks to Speedy for having us here today, and thank you all for being here today. So just to say a few things about Maybe It's Fate. We are a member-owned art exhibition space and social club in Butchertown. One of our missions is, like Hannah said, very aligned with Creative Mornings, is to be a place that instigates conversation, connects people, brings our community together. This has been something I've been passionate about for years, and my husband as well. So we have created a space for everybody. You don't have to be an artist, you don't have to be creative. Like Hannah said, we are all, and Raphael as well, we all have creativity in us. And so we just want to have a space for us to come together and share our ideas. We are a member-owned space, so we have memberships, but our memberships are all inclusive. We believe that everybody belongs. So to that end, we have memberships that go anywhere from believer status to pay what you can status. We don't want anyone to feel that there's any reason that they cannot afford or be welcome into our space. I just want to bring up a few things that we have on our event calendar for November, in case you're interested. One of the things that we do is we partner with other organizations to bring creative talks and interesting programming to Maybe It's Fate. And one of our partners is Laser Talks. They are part of the Leonardo Network. And Laser Talks are a global network of individuals, scientists, humanists, artists, and technologists getting together to informally share their ideas in a one-night kind of gathering. So our first one is November 25th. We're bringing together some game designers and local artists. Game designers including Frank Lance, who was part of the NYU Game Design Center, has done amazing things around the country and the world. Charlie Miller, who's one of our founders and a game designer. Ann Peabody, who currently has a show up at Susan Mormon Gallery. I really encourage you all to see it. And Matt Weir, who is one of our local sculptors. So put that on your schedule. Other things we have going on this month, November 17th, is a members tour of Josephine Park. But we're also welcoming non-members to come. So that's at 2 p.m. at Josephine Park. We have a screening of Ken Burns' documentary. So part of the Leonardo Network, something we're doing is partnering with KET and bringing some screenings and conversations about the new documentary to our space. So check us out at www.maybeitsfate.com. Look for the events page and find that information. And again, I mentioned the November 25th talk. With that, I want to welcome LaNia to the stage. I first met LaNia through Bianca Vaughn's curation at the Cabbage Patch House. And that was through the CPI Curate, Purchase, Inspire program, which is founded and one of the beautiful ideas that came from my other co-founder, Claire Hearn, who is here in the room being shy. My husband, I remember Charlie, Claire, and I heard LaNia talk about her collage piece that was there, and not only did we fall in love with the work, we absolutely fell in love with LaNia. We were so excited to meet her. I have been watching what you've been doing. I love all of your positivity and the messages you bring, so I am so happy you're here today. And everybody please give her a big welcome.
To introduce LaNia officially, we've got a Louisville-based contemporary artist embodying her work on and off the canvas. I know some of you might follow her on social media, maybe you've seen her artwork, maybe you've met her in Louisville. You all are in for a treat today. So with that, I'll let you take it over.
All right. Thank you so much. Oh, the microphone. Hi. Oh, great. Oh, You guys, you have to forgive me. I'm in my artist mind right now. Yay! Oh my gosh. This is so weird. I've been so alone these last few months, like cultivating myself, in the work. It's about the work. Oh my gosh, y'all laughing at. I'm sorry. This is cool. This is really cool. It's so good to have rebirth in old spaces. You know what I mean? Anyways, because I used to work here. Anyways. Jokes. Okay. Okay. Some of you may know me already, and will notice I have more of a country accent now, depending on who I talk with. This is because I've done a lot of work throughout this year to feel safer within myself. I've surrounded myself solely around my aunties, uncles, grandmothers, and mother and father, and church family in order to heal some I was not expecting that. Heal some generational trauma deep within my bones and DNA. And I got one of those voices that morph into the environments I'm in. The environment I'm in right now is me, darling. I'm trying not to think too much of you. I'm taking an improv comedy class right now, and it's proving to be helpful during these times where I wrote down some jokes that I haven't had the time to memorize, if you don't mind me using my fancy phone of mine to share them. When I first accepted this speech, shy of about a month ago, I didn't do the appropriate calculations as to the timing of the speech and the state awards would be in, but the show must go on, yes. How lucky am I? I promise you, I'm doing my hardest not to carry the weight that loves to fall upon my shoulders. Here's my one rule. That after I say the words 1, 2, 3, you will do the thing I say. Like, for example, cue laughter, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let's try again. Cues, mad, lab, scientist, laughter, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. That was it. Nice. Okay. My parents, who just so happen to be here, thank you for coming. My parents ended every night and begun every morning with "I love you," no matter how bad they're in the world's got. How lucky am I? So now as an adult, my most needed love language is words of affirmation. So please, as you hear me speak today, don't be afraid to say, "Amen," if something touches the soul. I think we need some more playful energy and serious spaces, don't you? Yes. Okay. Now, don't forget now, you gave me permission. I'm very pleased to bring to you the sorry news that you have just entered a performance. One of my favorite artists, Autumn Night, she's a performance artist, brought to my awareness back in 2017 that as soon as we begin to speak, we begin our career as actors. Welcome to my career. Oh, yes. Hi, many of you may know me as LaNia Roberts. I'm here to tell you that she's no longer here. And you, unfortunately, you were the one who got rid of her. Don't worry, her spirit still lives in a woman you shall call from here on out LaNia the artist. Speaking of spirits, they being CreativeMornings, they asked me to do this for free, and yes, capitalism. He's not in the room right now. Yes. Unfortunately, he still is in the building. He said he can't find the exit. He's searching. Capitalism. You get it? Museum, walls, you know. Hey, Larry, you come to the front.
Oh, okay.
That's my brother. You gotta sit in my seat. Okay. Yeah! This speech will be longer than 20 minutes. Don't worry, we've already informed corporate. Hugh's laughter, 1, 2, 3. You can laugh louder next time. I'm going to warn you, I'm an artist, which means daily, in a very harsh world, I must keep my heart wide open. I'm very sensitive, you see. Cues, oh, 1, 2, 3. Oh, once I say 3, that's I have one rule only. Once I'm on stage, you're doing a great job. You're doing great. Once I'm on stage, I will most likely cry, but I will try to control it. I urge you not to. This space is one that is a safer one for now to cry in. Let me take you to church real quick, baby. If you need to cry, that's okay. Just raise your hand up towards the Lord, and maybe His Holy Spirit will save you. And since I'm taking so much of my time, there won't be room for any questioning. I'm just kidding, that was a joke. You'll be able to ask the questions afterwards. Oh, and since this is free, that means I can have some fun. So therefore, there won't be any artist statements around these parts. At the end, there will be a code for you to scan with your phone if you just so happen to still need all of that, darling. I didn't get to update my website all the way, so my artist statement isn't actually up just yet. But just stay tuned, follow me on Instagram, yes. Follow the word, darling, it's the word, darling. Okay, thank you for coming to my Creative Morning Talk. Now let's begin. I'm gonna let my little brother do it. Look up, thank you. Oh, yes. This is a very different experience than in my head. Hopefully I'm on time. Oh, yes, it's not my laptop. I just got one of those text things, and I was like, oh my gosh, do you know who's texting? Okay. The screen is not being shared, darling. Okay. Is this thing working? Oh, yes. Okay. Nervousness. Sorry about the stage. Woo-hoo! I'm a storyteller. One who has not lost the ability to believe they hold the power to change the world still. I'm a story grasper. One who faces the fears within them, goes against the grain, against the tide, against all odds to accomplish a little vision in her heart. These little visions from girlhood, only a dream, are very quickly becoming and turning into her. My reality. As the oldest of three, I've always had to take on more responsibility than I felt was fair for someone my age. I'm now realizing, filled with rest from the final moments of this last season of my life, that I have been prepared over the course of a Black lifetime. Yes, many of us indeed carry the fear of not living past the statistical 25 years old. The kind of fear that lives in your bones, perhaps even in your DNA. That I, LaNia the artist, have been prepared to take on great responsibility, and I will no longer fight against that. I've always lived between worlds, you see, and I thought I would make it this far. And those thoughts are not my own. Maybe they are the thoughts of my late grandfather, whose father was mysteriously murdered down in Portland years and years ago by some white man. More of the thoughts of my mother who dropped out of college because it felt so weird to be so far away from home, only an hour or so away. Who would have known that her daughter, of the same age, yet a different generation, would travel thousands of miles away again and again and again. You see, I've learned several languages over my Black lifetime thus far. Some spoken, some visual, and in that I've learned the art of translation. Oh. Beyond Storage just sent me a text. That's cool. Shout out to Beyond Storage. She's an amazing artist anyways. I've lost count. Oh, okay. I've lived in between worlds, you see. I'm learning the art of saying, cheers in multiple different ways across Europe. And please don't you dare not look me in the eye while doing it. To taking a drink at my auntie's cookout, right here up the street, 5 minutes away, a few years later because I didn't want to remember what it felt like to be alive that day. Stuck in my hometown, not knowing if I'd ever be able to cheers with someone here or there, and they know the eye contact dilemma without me having to teach them myself. When I was in college, I took a Black women's writers class. I had to drop out of it because the reading was far too much for me to keep up with in my creative mind and schedule. I had undiagnosed ADHD, and this made it very difficult for me to balance all of my different responsibilities along with my big creative mind, all the while giving myself the grace to make mistakes. This made me feel like a failure. But in one of the books I did read, the title of it being The Fire This Time, Claudia Rankin wrote a chapter called The Condition of Black Life is One of Mourning. I could never forget that line. You know, if you hang around a person long enough, they'll tell you the same stories that are the most important to them over and over again. I believe those stories are why they came here. I believe those stories we tell over and over again hold the secret pathway to our purpose, to how we find meaning here on this earth. My granny, the oldest daughter of my late great-grandmother, Maxine. Oh, am I supposed to play? Okay. I'm learning. Maxine, in whose kitchen I paint my family living and breathing in, while they're still living and breathing, told me she hasn't been to church recently and why. A few months later, one of her beloved cousins passed away. She asked me to accompany her to the wake at said church. We returned to the church of my childhood, and before sitting at the pews, we viewed the body. Rest in peace to my cousin. He had the most marvelous hands. Oh. I love my family's hands. Sitting down in the pews, my granny lit up as she spoke with a cousin from Indianapolis, one she hadn't seen in a long time, and didn't realize she would see that night. At one point, the lady turned around at me, looked at me, and said, "I know all about you. Your mama posts about you all the time. You're an artist. You're one of his chosen ones." It hurts, I wanted to say back to her. To be chosen, it hurts so much. You see, being sent here to relay a message from the other side doesn't promise you a life of ease. Usually you're sent as an outsider, not black enough to be black, not nice or sweet enough to not be considered a threat, not small enough to be considered feminine or beautiful. That's my mama. Never working hard enough, although not all work is visible. Thank you. To be an artist today should never be enough, and as life is defined not only by what you choose to embrace, but how I've decided to finally embrace what little I got to give that's left, and to accept myself as one who could never be enough, set up against the capitalistic powers that be, that I must take care of myself, for there isn't currently anybody who wants to take care of me, and that means I will never be fast all by myself. I will always choose to go slow, because in the midst of a fast world, going slow is radical to me, for me. Amen. Being in between worlds is no easy feat. You're alone most of the time, no matter how much of a social butterfly you wish to be. You're called to relate to others more than people can potentially relate to you. You're extremely sensitive to everything and everyone, and you have to give yourself the permission to let the river gates flow, even when that is considered too much. There are many parts of you happening all at once, and you find you're the only one who can unlock the potential promise that all of them can coexist at the same time. In parentheses, this is when I will look back at my art. In parentheses. Kind of like a Picasso painting. Kind of like a LaNia painting. Can I say that yet? I had a virtual critique with my fancy painting professor from Italy this summer. As per usual, she was being tough on me, asking me the deepest of questions, the kinds that you can only be absolutely honest in answering, or else you just get it wrong. She used words to describe my paintings that I had only ever heard her say about the masters she taught me about. You see, out of all these seemingly impossible trips, I had gone to Italy to meet with her and my fellow classmates to learn all the things you think you learned in art school but didn't. I had never thought I would miss one of her workshops. This year I did. It was devastating not having the money to pay for the remaining tuition for what I knew would unlock a whole new world of potential promise and understanding. I tried, and for the first time I failed and had to return home to finish the second painting I would paint this year thus far. In fear, in survival mode, in lack. Oh, again. When I told my professor all my woes of why I wasn't able to attend the workshop this year, of how I feel as though I'm at my wit's end constantly, how I feel like I'm beginning to paint solely for money and survival, a big no-no for me. Well, while talking to her, a deep moment of reflection came. I wasn't my 27-year-old self speaking to her. I was 20 years old again. In the back room of her art class in Italy, crying to her, filled with survivor's guilt, and convinced I would never do enough to become a true artist like the ones whose work I was living and breathing next to in my travels. Suddenly, fast forwarding, I realized in that conversation this summer, back in my body 7 years later, at 27, just how far I had come. How all these moments in my life had come together for such a time as this. How, I wondered, could I be so blessed? LaNia, my professor said in the midst of my questioning and deep-seated fears, I see your work. I see your growth. It's important and needed today. I'm so proud of you. This was no ordinary moment. It was a kiss goodbye. You've been trained now, darling. You've cultivated your gifts now, darling. So be confident now and go show the world what you're made of. Kind of moment. The moment I cried every day walking up and down the streets of Italy in 2017 for, crying my eyes out, having so so much gifted in me, yet feeling so convinced due to my perceived inadequacy that none of it would ever see the light of day. While studying epigenetics, I learned that thought patterns are carried through the bloodlines, and with the privileged experience of being able to speak to my family members who are still living, I realized that those fears I was experiencing all over the world were the same as my grandmother and grandfathers, that none of us thought we would make it this far. That all of us were convinced at my age and throughout their lives that we wouldn't be alive to see good things come into fruition for several reasons. When I was studying human rights and multiculturalism in South Africa back in 2018, I went on a date with a young colored man. Colored is like our definition of mixed here in America, but it's a lot more complicated in South Africa. If you know, you know. In 2018, I went on a date with a young colored man who was my age at the time, 21 or 22. He was born in 1996 like me, and had the most perfect British, this is South African accent, yes. Yet in his country's gruesome form of Jim Crow called apartheid, he was the first generation living after it came to end in 1994. Ooh. He was young, just like me. I suddenly realized how his generation, the firstborns, they're called, were like the generation of my mother and father, born in 1971. They were the firstborn in the USA after Jim Crow had ended. He was a physical timestamp for me to understand just how seemingly close this so-called faraway history was, or matter of fact, is. During my first day arriving at the School of International Training in Cape Town, South Africa, that semester, my program director, whose nickname was Simba, told us all, please. I bet he probably wanted to say, you Americans after that. Remember that you're a foreigner here. That as you travel, as you learn and research, do everything you can not to use the word weird. You see, the things that are weird to you here are normal to us. This is our home, our culture. Try to replace the word weird with simply different. Because that is all that it truly is, just different. While learning art history during one of my trips to Italy, I meditated upon my art historical lineage, aka who were my cousins, aunties, uncles, grandfathers, and grandmothers in the art world, past and present. One mine I discovered was Renoir. Because I saw that he too felt it upon himself during his time to paint his friends and families' cookouts and gatherings, and due to that, they will never die. They will always, always, always be remembered. Because my favorite cousin, a childhood best friend, said to me in my car as I was driving him back home a couple weeks ago, picking him up from prison, a few hours drive away from here. He's a year older than me. He made it past 25 too. Yet in our years, we made different choices. Landed in different kinds of prisons. I was preaching to him, trying to show him that it was possible to make a true change this time around. For his sons, indeed his sons, his bloodline. Because I'm gonna be real honest with you, I don't think you understand. He continued. Back at home, people want to kill me. They want to see me dead. He and my other cousin in the backseat who rode with me continued to speak in numbers. 26th, 42nd, and 33rd Street. This was their world, their Italy, their France, and our professors. This was their world and I couldn't save them, and that I realized in that moment that I couldn't save anybody anymore. No friend, no child, no family member, no lover, no follower or internet audience that I had to use all my supernatural healing powers to save myself. A preserver of people, of a culture, you see. I can't promise you I will preserve our culture or yours, but mine, my bloodline, our story will be told, and in a way with unspoken visual languages that won't ever be able to be forgotten. Between worlds, I've lived because I was incarnated down here on this earth not to be a part of the party, but to be an observer in it, so that I could translate it into a visual and spoken languages alike to the states, to the world. Call me Mrs. Universe, if you will, for the languages I know and use are universal. Many different points of view, darling. Points of identity happening all at once, being spoken out loud boldly in color. Oh, yes, in color. I'm set apart, you see. Chosen. Very weird. Very different. Indeed. Very exclusive. Very expensive. No, baby. I am not cheap. Before I went to Italy for the very first time in January 2017, my father, who had never thought of leaving the US before, told me, LaNia, do so well there that they will want to invite you back. Year-old LaNia, born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky, could have never imagined all of this. May we all create lives so bold and meaningful that the world can't help but invite us back. Because when we live, thank you. Because when we live with purpose and courage, we leave a legacy that echoes through time. Thank you for coming to my Creative Mornings talk. My name is LaNia, the artist. God bless you all.